Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasty, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner-operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to my program in which me and a special guest kind of sit down and discuss an individual Hammer Studio films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s for your enjoyment. Now, that being said, this film can be a plethora of fun and engagement, or it could be of a film that's not so fun and engaging. But either way, with me and my guests talking about it, it's always going to be a great conversation, and you're going to enjoy it 125%. That being said, what we're going to do today is we are going even further into the Frankenstein franchise. I almost got confused because of the title. The Frankenstein franchise of the Hammer Studios with their not latest, but reboot of the franchise, which is Horror of Frankenstein from 1970. And to help me delve into this film, I brought my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Dave Watkins and Mr. Thomas Tinnerello. You will know them as they have been very, very, very helpful deciphering this entire franchise over the last year or so. So thank you guys for joining me on another great adventure in this franchise.
It's good to be back talking about some more Hammer horror films. This is the sixth of 7 of the Frankenstein films.
Oh, so
yes, Kevin.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, we're almost done. And Kevin, make sure that you're very careful about how you pronounce this title, because the way you said it the first time, it almost sounded like you made this movie sound like it was about Frankenstein creating a prostitute.
The Horrors of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Someone's going to steal that title. It may be a porno, but someone's going to take it.
It's not already a movie.
There may already be one. I don't know. The horror of Frankenstein. I think it should be more than one horror. I think in the film, though. Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, this is going to be a fun conversation. I can already tell. So I do have to ask, guys, generally speaking, what were your thoughts or impressions of this film when you first saw it, especially considering that this is kind of a reboot before reboots became a big thing? Who wants to start? Thomas, I will let you go with it today.
You scared me, Kevin. You should have just attacked me. Oh! So, I think now that I'm probing my memory depths now, I think I probably saw a little bit of this on like Sci-Fi Channel when I was a kid, and then like stopped watching it once I realized that it was a Frankenstein movie that didn't have Peter Cushing in it. I think I distinctly remember thinking, "Oh, this is not it." Click.
This is off-brand Frankenstein right here.
Yeah. It's like Timu Frankenstein. So instead, I think I'd heard of it during Cinemassacre's Monster Madness by James Rolfe. Did a Hammerthon, and I think they mentioned this movie. I don't know if they actually did a review of it, because technically speaking, like you said, it is technically a reboot, a failed reboot, technically, of the Hammer Frankenstein franchise, and it's not considered canon. It's kind of like that Doctor Who movie that Peter Cushing was in that nobody considers canon.
There's actually 2 of them that he's in.
Yeah, two of them.
I tried to watch. There's the Daleks is the second one, I think, but the Daleks is the first one. But I tried watching it the other day, and it was pretty tough. I'll probably revisit it, but I did get both of them on 4K. They put out by Severin Films,
Okay.
but they've even got like a little, which I ordered, I hadn't gotten yet. They have a little box that you could put both of them in. So, but that one's coming. But those movies are a little rough. I remember watching the second one. I think they even have like a riff-raff of that one, the second one.
The riff tracks.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he said riff raff.
Yeah, riff raff. Yeah. I used to call it like Mystery Science Theater, like, was it 3000 or something like that?
Yep. Yeah, I almost keep imagining now that I've seen this movie, like what would a weird kind of like Into the Spider-Verse type thing be like with all the different Frankensteins, and then like Ralph Bates just shows up and they're like, "Who the heck are you?" Yeah, I am Baron Frankenstein. No, you're not.
But this one's almost like a remake of the first one. It's it makes the characters younger, but a lot of it is kind of drawn from the same formula as the first film. It's even written by the same writer, who directed Jimmy's Sangster.
Yeah, it was, but I was surprised at how different it was from Curse of Frankenstein. Like, it's got a lot of the same like DNA and some of the same like elements and like even props. Like the acid bath is in this one, but it's a totally different kind of acid bath.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different in a way. Some people consider it a dark comedy, a black comedy. It has more comedy in it, but it doesn't strike me as. I mean, that's what, like, when you see it, it's not like you're watching Young Frankenstein. This is still planted in reality for the most part. It's not a spoof, but it does have a. If you consider this more of a dark comedy, you'll appreciate it a lot more once you pick that up a little bit better. But it's not. It doesn't go off in a too silly of a comedy.
Yeah, no.
That's the way of looking at it. I didn't even think about questioning the movie based on that kind of ideal.
It's a lot. I mean, it's definitely pretty damn funny if you think about it. And it has got that British humor that we don't pick up sometimes because of how subtle some of it is.
Yeah, and weirdly, I don't know why I thought this, but like basically because like because A, they came out pretty much the same time, and B, they have very similar music in their opening credits, and C, the tone of humor starts off similar. But for when I started watching this in the opening credits, I had this flashback to Andy Warhol's Frankenstein.
Yeah. Andy Warhol's Frankenstein's freaking hilarious too.
Yeah, it's much funnier than this movie.
Yeah. It's a lot more gory and a lot more everything than this one. But this one,
that's an understatement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But this one, I mean, this one's a lot. It is 1970 here. We talked about this era some. This is when Hammer was changing from this is still gothic horror here, but we're trying to bring some of that other influences from other countries into their films, where they're seeing like the Italians and Germans like doing really provocative stuff in their movies. So.
Actually, I kind of wish they'd leaned more Italian into this. I think this movie had some more Italian, like giallo insanity in it, with some more like creative gory kills. I think it would have been a whole lot better, but they don't even do that.
Well, I think they thought they were doing that. I think they were doing it within what they thought they could get away with. They still had to contend with the censors, who were a lot harsher on them than they would have been on the Italians.
Well, I agree. If they leaned more into the Italian ludicrousness and the sexuality and all that giallo tropes, it would have been a much more interesting film. You're probably going to get me thinking about that next time I watch this damn movie.
Yeah, I mean, and also like there is a giallo version of Dracula by Dario Argento. It's awful, but it exists.
Yeah. I'm tempted to watch it. I hadn't finished it yet.
I didn't think it was
rough.
It's okay.
It's
so
3D
bad.
too. I try. I'm gonna have to go back to it. But I watched it. I got a 4K of that one too. It's 4K 3D. But I tried watching it, and it just looks bad. I don't know what's up. It's like really brightly lit for some reason.
You're right.
Because of the 3D effect.
I think that's what it was. You're right. Because I think that's what it was. I think Argento heard that when a 3D movie is projected and stereoscopic, it's darker. So he thought, I want to compensate for making it really bright.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you're making a Dracula movie.
Yeah, it
That's
looks.
really bright.
That was what was putting me off from it. There's other things that weren't good in it either, but
Yeah.
but that was like the worst thing though, because I was like, I'm not feeling the atmosphere. And when you watch a Dracula movie, you want to feel the atmosphere in the film.
You do, you do. And Kevin, I know we're talking about this other movie. Please do not put that movie on the list. I do not want to be forced to watch that garbage again.
It's probably already on the list. I'll eventually get
Just,
to all of Dario Argento's movie.
oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
I'm up for doing it. I got the 4K. I might as well force myself to watch it all the way
All
through.
right.
So
Well,
I
good.
saw,
Y'all.
I saw it in the theater, so
yeah,
Oh, geez. I'm sorry. Did you see it in
yeah.
3D?
no.
That's a
Okay.
bummer. But speaking of 4Ks, there is a 4K out of this movie.
There is, huh?
Yeah, the Horror of Frankenstein, put out by
Yep.
Studio Canal, and it's pretty thick. It's got a booklet, a big booklet that has a lot of essays in it, it looks really great in 4K. It's
Oh, no.
yeah,
That
this
was-
and
yeah.
yeah, this
That's
one
all-
came this one and Scars of Dracula they were made at the same time. They both have similar 4Ks that were put out.
And weirdly, if you look this movie up on IMDb, on their page, it does not play a trailer for this movie. It plays the trailer for Scars of Dracula, almost
Right.
as if they're trying to say, "Hey, wouldn't you rather be watching this?"
But it was a double bill with Scars of Dracula, and they were basically both these movies were funded together, Scars of Dracula and this movie, and then
Oh.
they took that budget and they split it between them, and they were just trying to reboot both Dracula and Frankenstein. And here they wanted a younger version, the more sexy version of Frankenstein.
He's a hipper, swinging, London
yeah.
kind of Austin Powersy almost, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get that for the the opening for this film, the way Frankenstein carries himself, or Bates carries the Frankenstein character in this film.
Yes, he is Ralph Bates. We'll talk about him for a little bit. We do remember him, of course, as Lord Courtley, the occultist who tasted the blood of Dracula in Taste the Blood of Dracula. But he's also,
he was a lot of fun in that one too. And unfortunately, he got like killed in the middle of it. And he was originally supposed to come back, but they brought Christopher Lee back, which it's tough.
Famously. But I guess they felt bad for him because later on they gave him the lead in Hammer's Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, and then later on they gave him another bone with Lust for a Vampire, and then he did Fear in the Night with Peter Cushing and Jimmy Sangster directing him again.
Well, Jimmy Sangster directed 3 films. You just named all 3 of them. With Horror of Frankenstein, Lust for a Vampire, and Fear in the Night, and he apparently liked Ralph Bates a lot, or either he was pushed on him, but he was in all 3 of his films.
I like to believe they were buddies.
No, Jimmy Sangster, and they do have a really awesome set of all 3 of these films coming out from Severin Films. It's a really thick housed box that has all 3 of the films in it that I've ordered, because I don't have Lust for the Vampire or Fear in the Night. This is the first time Lust the Vampire is going to be on 4K. The other 2 have 4K, but he also wrote a lot of the earlier Hammer films, like Dracula and the Mummy and a bunch of other ones. So he was a screenwriter, and this is the first time he had an opportunity to direct.
Yeah. And sadly, I feel like this movie is partially responsible for the decline of Hammer in a way. I mean, not this movie directly. I mean, obviously, like you said, they tried to reboot Dracula with Scars of Dracula around the same time. And I don't think either of these movies were that hugely successful. I mean, it's point of fact that like the very next Hammer Frankenstein, they went back to basics and got Peter Cushing back. And then after that was the last one they did. So,
I don't think it was necessarily the movie's fault for the decline of Hammer. It was the time. 1970. The time was they had to do something different. The people were tired of the gothic horror. They didn't like the slow pacing anymore. They wanted more violence, more sex. And Hammer was still trying to hold on to gothic horror with Scars of Dracula and House of Frankenstein. They were basically, this was their last hurrah with it before it was like, all right, now we got to go do something more sexy, I guess. We got to get out. We got to get into the 70s, which into the real 70s. Yeah.
Hence Lust for a Vampire. Sadly, I think Ralph Bates kind of quit film altogether after co-starring with Joan Collins in I Don't Want to Be Born, a movie that's basically an Omen ripoff in 1975. He exclusively did TV after that and died of cancer in 1991. Fun fact:
Yeah.
Ralph Bates. Ralph
So-
Bates is actually the great-great-grandnephew of Louis Pasteur.
Who is it? Who's Louis Pasteur?
Dude, dude, the guy who invented pasteurization of milk.
Oh, okay. All right. That guy. Okay.
I didn't want to
Famous
laugh.
scientist.
What does he look like? You like Colonel Sanders or something?
Oh, jeez. This
Yeah,
is
but-
how public education has failed us, ladies and gentlemen. Public education has failed us in the
Dude,
States.
Do you think like it's important to know the name of the person who came up with
Louis
pasteurization
freaking
of milk?
Pasteur, come on, man.
He's
You
actually pretty
seriously?
famous. He's actually pretty famous. But no,
Yeah.
for our purposes of this podcast, it's not really, we're not going to pick on Dave for not knowing who Louis Pasteur was.
Oh, I'm not picking on him. I'm just shocked.
Well, when I was in high school, our high school actually was one of the highest ones rated in the state. So I don't know. They definitely weren't telling me like to go to. I mean, so they're not going to Louis Pasteur. This guy made.
Maybe your science teacher just sucked. I don't know.
no,
It's not really. I don't really give that much of a shit about real science anyway. I was kind of bored.
That's why you watch Frankenstein movies.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
There's no
I mean-
logic to it. It should never actually be able to be, happen. Let's just cut up a bunch of bodies and make new people out of it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
yeah, I mean, it's just like when it comes down to like who created this and who created that, it's like I don't sit here and memorize people's names on it. If it's an actor, I'll probably memorize their name or director, but it's like
it's okay, Dave. You know what? I'm gonna say I don't always know everybody either.
But I can tell you though, like the people listening to this, once they heard that name, a lot of them were like, "Who's he talking about? What did Louis Pasteur direct?" I've never heard of him.
Monster was he? What movie? What direction?
Oh gosh.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. I want to get us back on track because I almost forgot what we were talking about before we went off to the tangent.
Yeah, we're talking about So Ralph Bates. I do want to mention
Ralph
that.
Bates.
I guess he died of colon cancer is what he died of. But he was in 51. But I guess he'd kind of gotten out of movies he died in 1991, I think. So
Yeah, 91.
Yeah, so he had kind of gotten away from movies for quite some time, but at least 51 it's still young, but it's not like so young that it's like really shitty young,
Well, by today's standards, it's still young. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 45. I'm going to be 45. 51 is not old, dude.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that too. I mean, I'm almost 50 myself, but it's still. I mean,
I guess it's a lesson to y'all out there, men. If you're reaching 50, get yourself a colonoscopy and get yourself checked because you never know.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I already got mine scheduled. So let's not talk about colonoscopies on the show.
I did
come on,
I did the thing where you have to poop in a box and send it in. I had to do it twice because the first time I guess it didn't get there in time.
I don't know. You can poop in a box.
Yeah. Instead of doing it, they're like you could not do this for a few years, and if you poop in a box and mail it to us, we'll take a look at your poop and see if it's any good. I guess it was all right when they got it.
Yeah, you have 7 days to get it to them on time, and then if you don't get them into them for 7 days, you have to redo the whole test again. Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to poop on demand too. It's like I'm sitting there and you're like, man, I really got to poop in this thing,
Oh my gosh! I learned something today.
But it's probably I assume it's a much worse getting a colonoscopy from what I've heard. So it's
No, but you
just
still
worth
need to
it.
get a colonoscopy as well.
Yeah. I probably will like on my next go around with it in a couple of years. We'll see. At least I won't have to poop in a box again to do the colonoscopy. That's the good thing about that. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. All right.
All right, let's get back. Who do we want to talk about next? We just talked about Frank.
Yeah. So all right. So
let's talk about Veronica Carlson, who's also in this movie.
I love that. I love
Surprising.
her in this movie, though. I love her.
Yeah, so she's basically every Frankenstein movie.
What did Veronica Carlson invent?
What? No.
What did she invent?
You know what she invented? She invented Gwyneth Paltrow's face before Gwyneth Paltrow wore it.
Mm-hmm.
She's very
Yeah,
Gwyneth Paltrow
I
in
agree.
this
She does
movie.
look like her. Yeah, she does look like her. Yeah.
We may remember her, of course, from Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. And also, she played the unfortunate girl that gets sexually assaulted by Frankenstein, and Frankenstein must be destroyed.
But she
So,
actually played a major character in Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. She wasn't just a random girl that he rolled up on. She was
this is correct.
she was the
Very
kind of
correct.
lead in that one. But
I feel like, weirdly, she does more in that movie than she does in this movie.
yeah, I think so too. She plays the Elizabeth character, the love interest in this one, who was his cousin in The Curse of Frankenstein, but here's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has zero interest in her. in
Yeah,
this
he has
movie.
zero.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, she's really cute though in both movies. But
Mhm.
Absolutely. And God bless her, Veronica
Yeah.
Carlson is still alive. And as of this recording, she
Oh,
is
yeah.
still working on like Hammer pastiches such as House of the Gorgon and Night of the Devil.
Yeah, I still have both of those on my list to watch. I've not seen either one of them yet.
Well, as soon as Kevin watches them, Miss Carlson, I'm sure he'll love them. So thank you very much for still doing it, and we love you. The other next up we have to pay attention to is Kate O'Mara, who has a much bigger part in this movie as Elise, whose name I can't spell very well. Apparently, Elise is probably
I think you're pronouncing it right. It's actually spelled Alys. I think that's how they say it though in the film.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be like Alice, but I think they say Elise in the film. So.
They
Yeah.
do, and she's most famous outside of this movie. She's most famous for playing the Ronnie in several classic Doctor Who episodes.
Oh.
Yeah. She was also the governess in The Vampire Lovers. And that's pretty much what she's known for. She passed away to her reward in 2014. And she's very good in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The last person we should probably mention here is David Prowse, who plays the monster in this movie. But of course, and also the monster in the next movie, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
Apparently, he played the monster before this, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like a spoof sort
It
of
was
comedy.
Casino Royale.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Peter Sellers, and I think David
guess-
Niven was even in that. But
Yeah, I guess that makes him. How many times did Boris Karloff play the monster in the original Universal? I think he only did it.
no, I
times.
think it was 3. Yeah,
Yeah, he only did it 3 times. So I guess
Son of Frankenstein, I think, is his third go around at it.
Right. So that means that David Prowse is technically tied with Boris Karloff for a guy who's played the Frankenstein monster the most times.
But he has a lot less screen time as the monster because it's kind of
Still counts.
Yeah,
It still counts.
I did want to mention another actor. But go ahead and finish David Prowse. I do want to mention another actor then.
Well, yeah, he was. He was an actor, stunt guy, champion bodybuilder, best buddies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno, and a professional trainer for all those guys. And he also, of course, will always be most famous for playing Darth Vader. Yes, he was the guy in the suit in all 3 original Star Wars movies. So he got to reunite with his creator when he did the first Star Wars with Peter Cushing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too. That happened like that. But and he's good. He's good as the monster. I mean, he's good. I like him better in the next one because his makeup's different. But
it's a much better. It's a much better looking monster. I like the monster in the next one. I can't wait till we talk about that one. So yeah, David Prowse, God bless him. He hung in there. He died in 2020 at the ripe old age of 85. So rest in peace, David.
I kept thinking.
So the other actor, Dennis Price, plays the grave robber. A pretty hilarious part in this one.
I was going to mention him too.
Yeah,
I wanted to mention him too.
Yeah, he's great too. Him and his wife in this movie are my favorite characters. They are the most sympathetic and most fun. Yeah. And I was really sad when they get killed.
I thought it was like so unnecessary and such a dumb move to kill him too. It was like, we'll talk. I guess we'll talk about it when we get to it. Yeah, we get to it. But it just seemed a little unnecessary. But Dennis Price is in Kind Hearts and Coronets, Ealing Studios comedy with Alec Guinness. He played the lead character in that.
Another Star Wars connection.
Yeah, when he was much younger. Yeah.
Nice.
But he also was in a lot of horror films. We talked about one recently. I know he's in Theater of Blood, Son of Dracula from 1974.
Great, though.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he was in Theater of Blood. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he must have been one of the critics who gets killed in Theater of Blood.
Such a great movie. We have
But
not talked about
yeah,
that
he was in the Vampiros Lesbos, which I saw
yet. Oh yeah.
recently. Yeah, that's what
Gee, I
it
wonder
was.
what that title translates to.
Lesbian vampires is what I guess, but I don't know for sure.
Well,
How
I'm
did you
glad
not
you
put that
finally
on
got
the?
around to it, Dave. I'm glad you finally got around to watching it.
But I told you I watched it. Like I told you that I thought it was like they did a good job with the lesbian part, but not so good with the vampire part in it. Is that so? But Dennis Price is in it, and he gets killed again, like he usually does in this one. Like in this one, the other one I think we saw him in was it he is in the lust for the vampire too. Was it? Yeah, I think he was in Twins of Evil as well, if I'm not mistaken. I know there was one we covered recently. But yeah, he's fun. He's funny in all of these Hammer things that he did. He has a really good screen presence.
Totally is.
Yeah, yeah,
So I like the opening credits to this movie. It's just we think is a still shot
mhm,
of a naked woman painting in like a book, and then in comes a hand with a poofy shirt collar,
yeah,
drawing little dotted lines on certain sections of her body as the red credits roll. I don't
yeah.
know why, but it felt very Andy Warhol's Frankenstein to me. I don't know why. But then what I love about it though is that it stays on that for seemingly forever, and then the credits are over, and then all of a sudden the book snaps shut, and then it says zoom out on a completely opposite angle to an entire classroom, and like the college student Frankenstein has closed his desk because the
Yeah,
schoolmaster has caught him sketching. Like, what were you doing?
yeah.
I don't know why. I thought there was a very clever opening to
No,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Very arresting.
It works too
Yeah,
because they actually takes out the picture and they talk about it some more after that. But it's a good introduction into it. It's a cool move too to have it come into the classroom from it.
I think it's a great idea to start off with the whole movie with this whole segment right here with a young Frankenstein in class before he goes to university, and to show audiences exactly how smart and arrogant he is at such a young age. And how
Yeah.
and the peers and his peers, which will have a profound effect on him when he returns back home much later in the film. I thought that was really clever. I like
Yeah,
that. It was fun that this is part. It's already starting off funny in some respects with the dark humor with the antagonism between Frankenstein and the teacher. And the teacher's anxiety over a student who is, by all effects, much smarter than he is.
right. Yeah, the teacher wants to like punish him by hitting his knuckles with like a ruler, and he refuses to do it, which makes the teacher just lose his shit. He's like about, and then he talks him, and he talks him into saying his blood pressure is really high, and he should like go calm. Frankenstein talks the teacher into calming down, and then the teacher just dismisses the whole class. But we also get to meet like his four friends, or that we see them again later on. Like three of them are pretty important characters. You know,
Oh well,
Yeah,
that's why I said the setup is really good because
yeah.
we don't see them for a while when he goes off to university for what I think it's 6 years.
5 years.
5 years. Ah, shit. Five
It
years.
might be 5 years, but it's more like 10 minutes in the movie.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
because he doesn't look different.
it
At least
doesn't
he
look
could have
good.
done is gotten a nice little porn stash or
Yeah.
mutton chops or something. Mutton chops were big in the 1800s. Oh, speaking of facial hair, we'll get to that. But like, yeah, I want to like his friends are interesting. He's got four of them, I think four.
Yeah,
Two like
yeah.
sets of couples and one gay guy, and they are all just in love with Victor Frankenstein. He's like a rock star. They're all like, "Oh, isn't he great? Isn't he cool? Isn't he clever?" And then when his father dies, they're all like sycophanting, like watching him attend his father's funeral. Like, "Oh, look how sad he looks.
Yeah, yeah.
You think he'll be back soon? No, he's going to uni. He's been gone for 5 years. Oh, what a tragedy." And then one of the girls like goes off with him, like, "Do you want to study anatomy with me? Shall I take my clothes off now?" I was like, "Not yet, darling. We'll do it later."
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
clearly he is going to shook this lady. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, he it before his father dying, by the way, his father's sleeping with that Elise a housemaid who can't cook, but he's sleeping with her. That's his kind of like mistress, and then his father doesn't want him to go to what the hell is it called? University. They didn't want him to go to university, so then then he wants him to just hang around the house or whatever and keep kind of like a Downton Abbey situation, but he wants him to keep the manor up, and then yeah, Frankenstein actually sets up a way for his dad. He sabotages his gun, and when he goes to shoot his gun, it misfires, and his dad dies from it. So he kills his dad. And so it's like that's a kind of that sociopathic or psychopathic going on with it.
Yeah, and it's funny because you compare this to Curse of Frankenstein, where the Peter Cushing's version kind of gradually falls into casual murderer syndrome, whereas this guy, he seems to be just like psychopath from day one and murders his dad straight up. This is where, by the way, this is not even 10 minutes into the movie, folks. Yeah. We are not even the opening credits are not even cold, and he is already murdering people.
Well, if someone gets in his way, he's going to stop him from doing it. So it is like
if he gets in his way, or if they threaten to go to the police with information. As soon as you mention that,
which don't do that. Like, just go to the police. If you're ever going to turn somebody into the police, just go to the police. Don't tell them you're going to turn them in. You just
because they're going to try and kill you.
That's just that's a bad trope in this movie with other characters as well. But that's kind of a general thing that happens in a lot of these Hammer films from this era. We've discussed this in other Hammer films already.
But Kevin, it wouldn't be so bad if they just did it once, but they do it like 3 times in this movie.
Yeah, they do. Oh my
it's God. Crazy. So, like, basically, we talked about his father shipping the 16-year-old maid, which is yuck, but
it might be legal in Britain, probably.
At the time. Well, actually, I heard different countries, sometimes some of them have 16 as the age of consent. I only know this because there was like a brouhaha on Twitter because Gen Z has finally started actually paying attention to the lyrics of some older songs, and they're like shocked at so many of them are like about 16-year-old girls. And
about R. Kelly songs, guys.
It wasn't even R. Kelly. It was like music from the 80s.
It was like Brown Eyed Girl or something like that.
No. It's like or like Edge of 17 by Fleetwood Mac.
But I mean, it's like in some some countries it's legal. 16 is legal. So I mean, it really at this time period, it was probably 13 would have been fine. They probably wouldn't have batted an eye on that. Once they hit puberty and it was on.
Pride, so you keep
I
mean, hey, it worked for Edgar Allan Poe until she died.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying like at this time period.
Me neither. I'm making that clear.
Yeah. I'm just saying at this time period, it wasn't frowned upon as it is specifically now, which in some countries again like 16's not a big deal, but even though the dad there is a big age difference between the dad and her if she is 16, which she doesn't look 16 really.
No, she doesn't. No.
but I mean, I would have thought she was older than that, but there is a big age difference, so it's kind of gross, but it's not illegal.
Yeah,
and this stuff happens in real life. I mean, rich guys they're going to have a beautiful mistress or whatever. Why not?
If you're rich, you can get away with all kinds of things. Yeah. But one thing I was confused about, and I feel like the movie just forgets this even happened. Like, Frankenstein is such a player; he gets the dean's daughter pregnant,
right?
And the dean, when I mentioned earlier, epic facial hair, the dean's beard is the most insane, weirdest, amazing thing I have ever seen on a man's face. It is literally like his mutton chops were like beard shaped, like beard length and thickness. And they were like pointed, they were like sculpted with wax to make 2 little points on the sides of his head that I swear are like 6 inches. away from his cheeks and curve a little bit. It's hard to describe, but when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, how does this man get through a door?
But yeah, I thought it was weird both times when I watched this film that this happens. I guess because what happens in the movie, he gets her pregnant, and then the dean's like, "You're going to get married." He's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to do that." And then he goes to his friend Will, and he's like, "We're getting out of here. We're going back to my house." And I guess like since they go back to his estate, that the dean doesn't think to look there for him.
I didn't get that at all. What I thought was is like him and the dean are like working out some kind of deal, like, and it was supposed to be like Frankenstein was supposed to have his summer, and then after summer he's supposed to come back to school, marry the dean's daughter, and like finish his degree or something.
Yeah. That was the original intention, but he never planned on doing that.
Well, actually, here's what he says. Actually, the dean says the term ends in 3 weeks, which is the semester, whatever they're in. And he's like, and the wedding can take place as soon as the holidays start. So I would think that he meant at the beginning of the holidays, but instead of doing that, he just leaves.
He just leaves.
But and apparently he mails him a severed arm that's making the sign of the middle finger. That's not really the middle finger. That's the British middle finger.
Yeah, he does. He says that. So, I mean, it's kind of like for the dean. I guess maybe the dean he could go to his house and show up there. I don't know what kind of. I mean, it's pretty rude that he gets his daughter pregnant and leaves, and it's definitely against the proper stuff going on in Britain here that but I don't know what kind of power he actually has to make him be a dad, because he just leaves and then doesn't come back.
Yeah, I was expecting the dean to come back and like rap on his door and try to get him to fess up to his responsibilities, but nope, never does.
Yeah,
I wonder if they were saving that for the sequel. Because the ending, we'll get to it, but the ending to this movie leads me to believe that they were fully confident at Hammer that this was going to be the start of a new direction for the franchise, that they were going to continue with this guy. Let's just put it that way.
Possible that they thought that, but there could be another take. We'll talk about it when we get there, but it's possible they thought they were going to keep going. I mean, it is in a way self-contained and hilarious the way that it ends, though.
It is.
It's unexpected because you're used to Frankenstein ending a particular way. You expected that fire and death and all this crazy shit, but we'll get to it. But it ends very, very darkly humorous
and anticlimactic, to be honest with you.
Yeah, good. We'll talk about that because I thought that too. So, anyways, another thing we haven't seen. So, segue. I'm not good at segues or transitions. Apropos of nothing, there's something I don't think we've ever seen in these Frankenstein movies or any of these movies that Hammer did in the 18th or 19th century. Is some good old highwaymen scenes.
Yeah.
We got a couple of dandy highwaymen who stick up a carriage, and this beautiful blonde is in it, and her father. And then up on the hill is Wilhelm Kastner, who is Frankenstein's bud. He's blonde and handsome, whereas Ralph Bates is kind of dour looking and roguish, but also we got long, jowl length, dark page boy kind of haircut. And he's just like, and Wilhelm's like, hey, we should probably help them because that's the thing to do. And Frankenstein's like, what are you talking about? No, that's not our business. And then he's like, well, it's not your business. I'll make it mine. And the guy, Wilhelm, just kind of charges down there, shoots one of the guys, and then, poop, there's Frankenstein sitting there going, you better drop your weapons and get. And then he just to prove that he means business, shoots one of the guys. So now there's 2 dead bodies on the road. And it just so happens, who is the beautiful blonde in the carriage? Why, it's dearest Elizabeth. All grown up. Oh, look at you. You look like you've become a beautiful young woman. They had their little meet cute after years of not being together. Although, as we mentioned before, It is not clear exactly what Elizabeth is to him, whether she's cousin or adopted half sister or just
I don't know if I don't think she's I don't think she's related to him in this one. It's never
No,
mentioned.
no.
It was really odd in the first one. It's always felt, I mean, obviously that during this time period, that sort of thing was very normal. But I think to modern audiences, even at the time here, it was kind of like, that's kind of gross, marrying your cousin or whatever. But so I think they're just trying to stay away from that a little bit in this one.
possibly,
Yeah.
possibly.
Well,
So then after this, Frankenstein takes the opportunity to say goodbye. He's like, "Oh well, we'll see you again. I'm going back to my family ancestral castle." And she's like, "Oh good, we'll have lunch later." They trot off in their carriage, and then this is where Frankenstein goes to Wilhelm. He's like, "You go on ahead. I'll see you there. There's some things I have to do." Vagueness, vagueness. Charges off, and so then he takes out his huge Bowie knife
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
yeah, that's like Crocodile Dundee knife right there. And he,
Yeah.
and
He's lucky he had it with him because
yeah, because later on we find out he decapitated one of the corpses and just kept the head, which we never really see him do anything with that head. He just puts it in a jar, and
yeah,
that's about it.
I thought he was gonna open it up and pull the brains out or something, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
No, he doesn't. Not at all, because the brain he does use, and we're getting ahead of ourselves there, but the brain he does use is from a dude he knows. So,
yeah,
what?
you think he'd use it, but yeah, I mean, I guess he just likes the way it looks in a jar. Maybe he's like,
I guess. And I was waiting for like one of the people that he meets later, or maybe one of the highwaymen to be David Prowse, so that it would explain the face later. But nope, no explanation. I guess they got the face from one of the many, many corpses that David Price brings to him over the course of this movie.
yeah, right,
So
yeah, yeah. It's I know it's kind of cool. I mean, he's probably just using it for random experiments more than likely. We just don't see it happen on screen. You think they would tie it into the monster somewhat?
Not just
well,
yet,
it's
because Will is not privy to the whole picture of what Frankenstein's trying to craft just yet.
no, he doesn't. He knows nothing yet.
Yeah,
In fact, like the first night that they're there, they're like, "Well, we can't go to bed. We have to first unpack all of our boxes." So they have this huge stack of crates of lab equipment that they clearly ordered from Amazon and that were delivered. And he has to, and he gives him a crowbar. He's like, "Get started." And then cut to it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and Wilhelm's like, "Victor, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed." And he's like, "What? 3 o'clock in the morning?" He's like, "What time is it?" And then he tells him,
Yeah,
he's like, "Well, why didn't you tell me it was so late?" It's like, "I did, Victor, 5 times before." It's like, oh
yeah.
dear.
That whole sequence just makes me exhausted thinking about it. And then on top of that, the Elise woman, the housekeeper cook is telling him that she's going to be waiting for him in the bedroom.
yeah,
And instead of like going and doing that, he's in there unpacking shit,
yeah. But
And then he has
It's-
stamina enough to go to her at 3 o'clock in the morning, wake her up, fornicate with her, I suppose, until 5 o'clock in the morning, and wake up being peppy for breakfast with maybe 2 hours of sleep. I don't know how Frankenstein could do it.
no, he
well,
got
he is
revitalized.
he's much younger than we are
Yeah.
too. I probably could have done it at that age. It's,
Hey, I was just gonna say I definitely could have done that at his age. I don't know.
Oh, sure.
yeah.
But it's interesting because we see Frankenstein in this film kind of like very much the womanizer, but he doesn't give two shits about who the woman is to begin with. Like he's gonna use them and throw them away. He's gonna use Elise just like his father used her, like one purpose only. You don't cook very well, and he makes that very well known. She can't cook worth a shit. But
Yeah.
you have other more immediate and services that you can handle.
Yeah, your bedroom accomplishments, he
Yeah.
calls it.
Bedroom accomplishments.
It's
Uh,
kind of it could be kind of like a pain though, because he almost feels like if he's more involved with these experiments, and if you're really caught up in that, it's kind of like you have to go in there and have sex with her after that. It's kind of almost like more of work than it'd be worth. Especially because that's all he's caring about is the experiments. Maybe it helps him burn off some steam or something, after at the end of the night.
Oh
But
yeah, of course.
it's nice. It's nice you can just go in there at any time of the night, and she wakes up and just
I don't
go.
know. Sometimes I wonder if he was just doing her because his dad did her.
Oh,
By
Yeah.
the way, before we, I noted this and I forgot to mention this, but I don't know. This it is kind of interesting that this is a Frankenstein, just like pretty much every Frankenstein that I'm aware of, who has no mother. His mother is either dead or divorced from his father. So I think it's funny that in almost every, well, actually in the Curse of Frankenstein, both his parents are dead.
Right.
So
Right.
but he starts off as an orphan. So I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that Frankenstein as a character is always bereft of a mother. And what is his main thing? He's trying to create life without a mother.
Yeah. That's a good. Yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's true. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I never thought about
Yeah.
that either.
Yeah. And I don't think there's been any Frankenstein that kind of leans into that psychology. Although I haven't seen Del Toro's Frankenstein yet. Maybe he does, but I don't know.
I'm sure he follows the original
Oh,
story.
wait a minute. He
Yeah.
does. He does. I just remembered.
He does have a mom.
He cast Mia Goth as Elizabeth and Frankenstein's mother. So that's some Freudian stuff right there.
Yeah. So your theory just went out the window. I
Or confirmed it,
Yeah,
depending on your point of
yeah.
view.
I'm trying. Yeah, it does seem like I'm trying to remember. I do remember. Almost think I did. There was another Frankenstein film where he had a mom too. I can't remember though.
He had Frankenstein had a mom in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, one with Kenneth Branagh.
Okay,
I thought.
I don't know.
In the early, because his mother. Oh, maybe
That's
he did, because the whole reason why he's doing it is to get. Yeah, his mother dies very early, and that's what prompts him to do what he
yeah,
does. Is the death of
See?
his mother.
yeah. That one's based on the novel, probably closer than any of the others. Or
Because I don't remember the novel. It's unfortunate. I haven't read the Frankenstein novel in close to 25, 30 years. It's been a long time.
And I will say, unlike other Frankensteins, this movie does credit Mary Shelley, at least. So there you go.
yeah, yeah.
Even though it's nothing like the book.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it should still be credited for the ideas. You
Yeah.
taking the characters, from the book. Um.
But
So
like the next morning, they're unpacking their Amazon orders, and we get to meet Lieutenant Henry and his wife Maggie. And Lieutenant, of course, as soon as he said that he's a cop now, I was like, "Oh, well, enter our antagonist."
Yeah.
Then I actually watched the movie and realized, wait a minute, we hardly ever see Henry.
yeah.
I think, what, 3 times in the whole movie we see?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's one of his friends at the beginning
Yeah, he's
too.
one of his friends
Yeah,
at the beginning. But as a
Like-
grown up, we only see him like 3 times, I believe. So.
yeah. He's played by John Finch.
hmm
He was in some other stuff. I saw him in there's like this one H.P. Lovecraft film that he was in. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I should have
I
written
don't
it down.
know.
Yeah.
But I feel like between him and the cook, Stefan,
The Lurking
should-
Fear, that's what it was. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
between
movie.
those two people, like he seems to be like genuinely warm to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about those scenes he has with Henry and the scene he has with Stefan the cook.
Yeah.
And also the Amazon unpacking box. I don't know what it is about those 3 scenes that makes me warm up to Bates's Frankenstein a little bit. I mean, I know he killed his father and he's a horrible womanizer, but it's why like he seems a little bit more human in this. And I feel like it for a while it made me care about him a little bit, and then there's a certain point where I just checked out. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because like he in the Amazon unboxing scene, like I feel like because he didn't know, he was so focused and didn't know that it was 3 o'clock. I think that was it made him interesting to me because it was the one time where he made a mistake and kind of admitted it. Because other times he never admits fault for anything. Like even if he's like takes a total mistake, he never admits fault. Barely acknowledges the mistakes he makes at all. But in that scene, he's kind of like, "Oh well, oh okay, well, time flies. It humanizes him a little bit, and I like that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's when he meets a friend who's now a cop, he's kind of happy to see him, and then later on when his other friend, I guess you called him the gay guy, his gay friend,
Stefan.
Stefan.
I only say that. I only say
Yeah,
that because not because he's coded that way at any other point in the movie, but because I'm pretty sure it's him. I might be wrong, but I think Stefan in the earlier scene when he's not at uni, when he's at the regular college or school or whatever, him and his sycophantic friends are all together and they're talking about anatomy, and I think Stefan's one who's like, "Yeah, I could do an anatomy lesson with you, Victor."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then his other friend, who I think is Wilhelm, is like, I don't think he'd appreciate it very much, Stephen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I think they probably didn't explicitly say it, but especially they have him show up as the cook.
Yeah.
And so he does. I mean, he never really says that, but it kind of leans towards it. And he cooks really well. Not to say that people that cook are necessarily gay, but maybe they were kind of treating it that
I'm a
way.
pretty damn good cook, dude.
No, no, yeah, no, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying even like I'm saying maybe they were coding it that way here in a way, and it works okay. And then, but it's funny because the way that's established is they're eating the food. And they're like, wow, this is pretty good. And then he comes out and he's like, yeah, I cooked it, sort of thing.
I kind of saw his character because he eventually gets framed for being
Yeah.
eventually. I kind of saw him as the female maid in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I can't. I wish I could remember the character's name. I can't remember the name, but
Was it Mary Riley? Is it?
Mary
That's
Shelley.
that's
That's Jekyll and Hyde. That's Jekyll
yeah,
and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah,
In Kenneth Branagh's version, the
Yeah.
maid, I think she's the one that takes care of the kids. So when the kid
Yeah.
comes up missing, they accuse her of killing the kid when it was really the monster that killed the kid.
yeah. I think you're right.
And then they kill her. And they
It's
kill her.
and that's probably in this one when he frames Stefan, that's probably the part that is really annoying, really. I think that it really shows his he is we all know he's a sociopath anyway, but it shows he has no real regards to anyone, any human life, because it's really unnecessary to frame him too. It's just
Yeah, it is. It
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting poor Stefan to get killed
Yeah.
by Victor, and that he was going to get chopped up and become part of the monster's body. Because he's so tall, he's a big guy,
Yeah.
and I thought,
Yeah.
oh, he's a big dude, he's donezo, he's gonna get killed. But nope, he doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know. Do you think that's a missed opportunity, or you think it's just just something to distract you from make you think something's going to happen that doesn't happen?
I think what it was is that I don't think it was a missed opportunity necessarily. I think it was the screenwriters had an idea, they were planting that seed, and then they changed their mind midway through writing it and decided to make him the scapegoat for the monster instead of part of the monster.
And it doesn't even really go on that long with him being a scapegoat for the monster because
No, it doesn't.
it's resolved pretty quick. But it could have been like with that Frankenstein created women when that sort of happened to that one guy where he gets executed for not doing something. Yeah.
Yeah, except they set that up. They don't really set the other thing up.
Yeah, but they follow through with that. Here they don't really follow through with it. He gets out of it because they almost gets killed, but then they find out last second that
it's so weird. I mean, I don't want to show my hand too early here, but it's so weird, isn't it? That sometimes a movie directed by a screenwriter has such a slapshod script.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Well, to be honest with you, I think this is one of those films, like you were saying earlier, where I believe that they were thinking that there were going to be more films after this one, and they set up for continuing stories that could still feature these same actors and these same characters as they still delve into the Frankenstein character as he continues making more monsters. That's why all of his friends kind of the stories do what they do. That's what I thought. Obviously,
So that's why you think there's so many loose ends by the end of this movie.
I do. I honestly do that. This was really, really designed to be the first film in a kind of almost like doing like a trilogy, kind of like what happened with the James Bond, Daniel Craig films, Quantum of Solace, but they did horribly at the box office. So they decided to reboot it with the one that came after that because they did not never finish the story that came after that one. He's like, well, let's stop this story. Let's just do something completely different and not even worry about our ideals from the previous movie. That's what I saw. That's how I saw this movie when I first saw it. And like I told you all before in the previous episode, this was the last one I saw. So I kind of got that impression when I saw this. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, I liked him not getting killed because I was like kind of like, man, that sucks. It's gonna be the same thing as like the Frankenstein created woman. He's gonna get the guy killed, and I kind of thought it was cool that they were able to get him out of it, but it did subvert expectations a little bit, but
Yeah, but we're getting ahead of ourselves now there.
yeah,
I do think it's an interesting line though, where I think it's Wilhelm who says like, "You could be so kind and charming, and then turn around and be as cold as the grave," which is the real Victor Frankenstein. And then Victor's like, "Well, let me know when you find out."
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder if Victor does know, or if he knows and doesn't care to know.
yeah.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's putting on a facade or if he just doesn't care. A lot of the evidence says for a lot of his reactions is he just doesn't seem to care what other people think. Period.
Yeah, and I think there's like a weird thing that happens to Bates' performance where in this part of the movie he's still like effervescent and suave and likable and seems like he's the smartest guy in the room all the time. And then like as soon as the monster gets created, I feel like the light kind of goes out of his eyes. I mean, I don't know how they shot it, if they shot maybe in somewhat order, like maybe he just got tired by the end of this movie, but he looks tired by the time the monster is actually like doing stuff. And by the end of the movie, he looks almost exhausted. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't notice that specifically. I have to look for that, but I mean, you're saying it, so I know it happens. It probably was it, you know, maybe it could have. I doubt it was a character choice. Probably really was tired when they were shooting the scenes. But if you could take that as a character choice in a way though, because he has a mission or a goal to bring the monster to life, and once the monster comes to life, it's like it could be pretty exhausting because now he's got to take care of the monster.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
like
as
now
exciting. It's like having a kid, you know. It's like kind of you want a kid, but then it's like it's a lot of work all of a sudden, you know.
it's like now you gotta change your monster diaper.
Yeah.
Well, at least he doesn't discard the monster in this film at all. You know.
Yes, he actually has a relationship
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Just
That's something we haven't seen.
No, we have not. I thought that was very interesting for
The monster does have a big diaper on though.
That would have been funny.
He does though. He's got a diaper on.
I know,
right?
Can you imagine? He's got to wipe this monster's butt because he can't remember how to wipe himself.
Yeah.
Because that daggum piece of glass got on his brain.
Yeah.
But like when he and Victor are turning on the electrical thing, this big apparatus that's like the secret to making light, they're trying to test it. And they're like, well, what do? We got to find a dead animal to test it on. And then he's like, keep your eye out for a dead animal. And there's this great close-up of a tortoise.
Yeah.
And he's the cutest little tortoise. And his name is Gustav. And I love Gustav. Part of the reason is because like when I was a kid, I had at least 3 pet turtles. One was Leon, one was his name was Raphael, one was his name was Michelangelo. And then later on I found a baby turtle in my dad's pool. And I named him Gamera. So I am like so attached to this turtle. And then as soon as he said that though, and as soon as that cut happened, I was like, oh no. Oh no, Victor, don't you frickin' dare. You bastard. You bastard. And then he said, oh, he has dinner with Elizabeth and his father, who was also in love with Gustav. He's like, they're the perfect pet. You know, they're clean, they don't make a lot of noise, and you can always find them, and they're easy to feed. And he's like, he's just petting little Gustav. And I just thought, oh, that's so great for a 19th century gentleman to love tortoises. And the great thing about tortoises is that tortoise would probably outlive him.
Yeah. I thought
tortoises live forever.
I thought it was kind of like a weird like animal to use to bring back to life a turtle.
It is. It is because
Yeah.
he killed a puppy in the first movie.
Yeah. Well, the thing,
And
I don't think he killed the puppy.
I think he killed that
I think he
puppy.
killed the puppy. Yeah,
I think he killed it. We speculated about that when we talked about the movie.
Yeah.
But I think he did. But then I thought to myself, oh no, he's gonna, because I remembered that, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna kill the turtle. You better not drink. And of course, he kills the freaking turtle. I was like, he's like, oh, I left my gloves in the room, and then he snatches up the turtle, and he's like, oh, he won't even know it's gone. If it dies, we'll just replace it with another one. I'm like, you bastard, you turtle killing bastard. All my goodwill that I had for him was out the window, and I just hated his guts.
Yeah, you gotta feel bad. Yeah, you gotta feel bad for the dad too, because he's like, "Where's my turtle?" You know, he's like, looking for it. It's like, yeah. I mean, it's like bad to take the turtle because, dude, it's the dude's turtle. You're eating dinner with him. You leave, and the turtle's gone. It's like, it's just not a. I do want to point out the Gustav name.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it in 3 other Hammer films. In was it Twins of Evil? Peter Cushing's character's name's Gustav, but I think it was the Vampire Lovers. There was a cat called Gustav in that one. So, yeah.
I don't remember that one. I do remember Peter Cushing because we talked about that. I was like, that's just an odd name.
Yeah. I thought we talked about the cat too, because I was like, yeah, that cat's the same name as the character.
Right. We did talk about the cat.
Peter Cushing played in the other one. And it's like funny the way the Hammer like to reuse names like that in the movies,
because it's the same 3-4 writers for all these movies. So they run out of names because they're writing so fast and so often.
Yeah. Like, we got a turtle. What are we gonna name this thing? Gustav. But we called it in the other movie. Nah, no one remember that thing.
But then what's funny is they're gonna experiment on poor Gustav, and they're gonna kill him by putting him to sleep, quote unquote, with a needle that's like half the length of his body, and freaking Frankenstein can't even figure out which end to put him in, because he's like, he went inside his shell, and it's like, well, which end do I do? Like, just pick one. And then they're trying to where to attach the electrodes, because the poor Gustav died inside his shell. And he tells Wilhelm, yeah, just put one electrode on one end and one electrode on the other end. You're bound to make contact somewhere.
Yeah. Kind of haphazard experiment. It's hard scene to watch though when you see stuff happening to animals like that. It's kind of tough.
He is a worse scientist than Peter Cushing was in any of the Frankensteins. He's awful.
Yeah.
But apparently they do the thing, they electrocute the thing with the apparatus that looks like it's powered by dry ice and genius. That's all it is. And he's whirling the spinning thingy, and they think, oh, it didn't work. And then they turn around and boop, his little Gustav turtle head comes out and bites Frankenstein. Because of course he's gonna bite that bastard, turtle murdering bastard. Yeah. And yes, he got his revenge. Thank God, Gustav. And he's back. He's a reanimated turtle. The first reanimated turtle in the history of cinema.
We don't know what that means exactly for the turtle, because we never see it again, but
that's right. Yeah. And that made me wonder. I'm like, oh crap, did he forget to bring Gustav back?
He probably did. He seems like he don't give a shit. Once he gets what he wants, he's just like, he's on to the next thing.
Gustav he just wandered off.
Yeah, Gustav is running off in that castle, maybe a little faster than before, just roaming around.
Yeah. Living his best life. Oh man, freaking Frankenstein. So like he sees that his machine works. Yeah. So even though it's like a delayed reaction. Which, by the way, he doesn't even remember that his machine has a delayed reaction when he actually does make his creature, which I think is a little stupid, but okay. So, but he's like, cheers. And they do kind of replicate that scene from Curse of Frankenstein where they reanimated the dog. And Wilhelm is like, oh, this is great. We've reanimated a turtle. We can make millions off of this. We can. And then Frankenstein's like, no, I'm going to make people. Person. I'm going to make a person, people. And he's like, what do you mean? And it's the same dang thing where I'm like, dude, you reanimated tissue. You could easily live the rest of your life toasting on that. But no, you gotta be an overachiever, Frankenstein, in any freaking universe. You gotta be, oh no, we can't. I'm not just gonna be a Herbert Westy. I'm going to be God. I'm going to make a man out of stitched together pieces because that's much more awesome.
Well, we are like 30 minutes into the film, and if he made the right decision here, the movie would be over. So I guess he's got to do the stupid thing. So
Yeah.
it's but that's when that's the next scene we introduced to Dennis Price's grave robber.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and his wife. But I think it's what makes me like him is that he's got a wife who is all in on his grave robbing business.
Yeah. She's actually more she digs the graves. She's more useful at it than he is because he's kind of out of shape. He can't dig them himself.
This
Yeah,
is
and
the female version of Burke and Hare right here.
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a husband and wife
Oh,
grave robbing duo. I was like, I would pay to see a whole movie that's just them.
yeah.
I really would. And their kids. They've got kids. They've got one
yes,
kid
right.
already.
Yeah. So they're
They're so sympathetic because A, they really do love each other, and B, they're poor and they've got babies to support. So they gotta dig up these dead bodies and give them to crazy medical students like Victor Frankenstein. So I'm like, I am all in on these people. And I love how they like peruse the times, the newspapers for natural disasters,
yeah.
for dead bodies they can get.
Yeah, the way that scene shot's pretty cool too, because it takes place on a carriage. The grave robber and his wife are by themselves, which is kind of a weird scene because it cuts to a scene without Frankenstein in it, and the grave robber and his wife are, which really when it shows them a lot of times he's not in the scenes because it shows them actually in the grave digging stuff up. But it's sitting on a carriage, and she's reading the newspaper to him and there's a ferry boat crash. But it's a funny scene, but it's funny, and it also gives a lot of exposition here because then we find out where all the bodies are going to come from.
Yeah, which is a question that we've never ever thought to ask before, and honestly, it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, most of the time in these Frankenstein movies, it's usually Frankenstein himself goes to mortuaries and medical schools and just procures the parts himself. Like in Curse, I think in Curse and Revenge, you see like him getting each part one by one. In this movie, he's got a chart on the wall with like little sections of the man numbered. It's like I gotta go through, it's like a checklist for him. I gotta get a foot, I gotta get a right foot, I gotta get a calf, I gotta get this, and I gotta get, the private parts are kind of covered up, but I'm sure he has to get that too. And it's just like goes all the way up to finally he's got, number 42, and it's brain. Got to get a brain.
But he gets a bunch of bodies all at one time because of the boat crash. But he has them all laid out on the floor. He's got like a bunch. It's always kind of weird too, though, if you think about it. Like he goes to all this trouble of like cutting up different stuff where he could just take one body and just use that. I guess he does. Sometimes he does it, but he wants to create a body for some reason, which he didn't create a turtle. He didn't create a turtle. He just killed a turtle and brought it back. But here the question is, can he bring back a person? Not only does he want to bring back a person, he wants to bring back a person that he stitched together from other people, which makes it even harder to bring that type of person back.
Yeah, well, because it was usually this is I think they really lean into this more in Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. For all that movie's faults, at least Frankenstein's motivation for creating a person almost from scratch makes sense because he's not trying to create a man just for bragging rights. He's trying to create a man and a woman. He's trying to create a new species in that movie. He's trying to create the master race, as it were. And there's no coincidence that they got a German actor to play Herr Frankenstein. They're wanting to make the master race. So
that makes sense in that one.
Yeah, but this one it doesn't really make sense because there's no indication that there's no motivation for Frankenstein to basically try to make a man from scratch. Because at no point does he say like, if you could do that, you could make a master race, you could make a slave race, you could do anything what you want. Or in the case of, because that's the big thing is power. Because if you create a person, that person technically does not fall under the jurisdiction of any Bill of Rights. because they're not a person per se, they are a product. And if you own that product has no rights. You can do with it whatever you want.
We'll see how that goes in this day and age. That's the same argument that people had for slaves. So
Yeah, true. But in that case, though, they were stealing people who were already born. In this case, Frankenstein can literally patent this creature. This creature was not a woman born. He literally took spare parts of other things that were already created, slapped them together in a way that was totally original. Wait a minute, I just described AI. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh my. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so we do get to see the acid. What he has a new acid contraption.
yeah,
It's really bizarre. He's got like a bathtub, and then there's a bunch of jugs up top, and he's able to put whatever he wants to dispose of in there, and he pulls a string, and then they just pour in there.
Yeah, it seems clever and yet really dumb at the same time.
Yeah,
Because in the original movie, he had an acid bath, the original quote unquote, the
yeah,
original Hammer, Curse of Frankenstein. He has a straight up porcelain acid bath. It's just a straight up bath in the floor, happens to be directly below a skylight, which ends up biting him in the butt later. But it's
yeah,
a full immersive tub, and he can just pour huge vats of hydrochloric acid into that and just let it pool, or dump it out if he needs to later. But anyway, this one is built like a Victorian death trap. It's like
yeah.
a saw
yeah.
trap, basically, because it's like a big tub. First of all, I don't know how this thing doesn't leak because
How
it's made
does
of
it?
wood.
Yeah, and he has to get them up there. He has to refill the hydrochloric acid each time he dumps it, so he has to get new ones up there. And how's he? Well, we're overthinking it. It's kind of a cool thing, but hydrochloric acid is very dangerous to dispose of.
It is.
You
So
know,
how does he do it?
yeah,
Maybe there's like a plug at the bottom that just disposes of it through the plumbing, which
yeah.
yikes.
Aren't they like they're upstairs again in this one too? Like,
Are they?
Yeah, they
yeah, I
are.
think so. It's the same thing as the first one. It's like so weird to have hydro. I mean, if it was in the basement, it'd make it a little safer to have the acid down there. But this acid could like eat through the damn floor if they dropped it on the floor somehow. You know?
Yeah, it's so dangerous. Like this is clearly one of those things where a prop master and a set designer had a cool idea, fell in love with that idea without thinking about how it would be practical in the slightest, and did that. Also,
Yeah, the way they
al-
make it, yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
also, now that I think about it, it was clearly made with the intention of paying off the gag
Yeah.
at the end,
Well,
because there's
yes.
no other way in which it could have worked, because it has to be a tall thing that can obscure a person that somebody can step into and also get poured over with acid from above.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, they use it like a time in the middle too to kill somebody, but but it definitely makes the last gag work in a way just because of the way that I guess it's kind of cleverly written the way that it's written, the way it's in the film because it's established, it's used, and then it's used a third time at the end for the last twist of the film, you
I
know.
mean, now that I think about it, it would make a cool like toy set. Like, can you imagine if you made like a Kenner toy set of the
Yeah.
acid bath for this
Yeah,
movie?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
stick a person in there, and like the person could be a figurine made out of like, I don't know, salt or something, and then you have like you fill these little beakers up with like, I don't know, benzene or white wine vinegar or something, and then just pour it in, and then watch it sizzle.
Well,
That
I
would
mean,
be
yeah, I mean, I think it would make a
cool.
cool toy set just
Oh,
without it actually functioning. You know, you don't have to actually have it melt anything. It just
no.
yeah, but
I
yeah,
would, just so you know, I had to look it up, but I would think that his acid bath, that little pit that he's created, is probably lined with either gold, platinum, or copper, which is why the acid doesn't go through it.
well,
So,
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's gotta be made so it doesn't go through. But you're still looking at a few other things to be concerned about. You have jugs of hydrochloric acid sitting up there that they pour into it who that could go the other way instead of going into the bathtub. It could fall off onto the floor somehow, especially when they're putting them up there. It's just yeah, we're over analyzing it, but it doesn't seem like a very
uh,
practical thing
well,
in
that
reality.
Not compared to what we saw in the original film. No, that's why this whole conversation came up. If we hadn't seen it in the very first film, this would probably wouldn't have been the conversation to talk about. So.
No, you're right. You're totally right.
But it's
But
also
I
very
love how
dangerous to have. It's very dangerous to have a bath of hydrochloric acid just sitting there for anybody just to fall into.
I mean, it is practical though. Victor made it because he said, "What are we going to do with all the parts we don't need?" Well, that's what it is. And you see him dumping the bits of torso and stuff he doesn't need when he's making his monster. And then later on, I'm sure he used it to dispose of Wilhelm's body when he electrocutes him because he becomes person number one who makes the dumb mistake of telling Victor, "I'm going to report you to the authorities. You have to stop your insane experiments." And he's like, "Well, you gave me no choice. I'll have to stop my insane experiments. Why don't you help me take apart that apparatus over there? Oh, you mean this one? Oh, yes. Maybe we could do something more, harmless, like splitting the atom."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I was a little
Yeah.
surprised of, because even though Willem is his assistant slash colleague, I'm surprised that he so flippantly just kills him, because that's not something we normally see in the Frankenstein films, which is just odd. But
Yeah.
I like seeing some of these the different avenues this film does with some of the ideals that we've already seen in previous films.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing it does too, because like in the first film, the guy he keeps threatening to leave and coming back, and the guy ends up being more in love with Elizabeth than anything, is why he doesn't go to the police. But here you're expecting it to be like another snooze fest of the same thing with this guy, and then he just goes ahead and kills him. But it becomes obvious he's going to kill him though once he starts like saying, "Okay, we're just going to pack everything up," The guy's pretty dumb to fall for. He's pretty dumb to fall for that too, but it's
He's a blonde. What do you expect?
yeah. But yeah, it is funny the way they take like the little plot beats from the first one, and then they just kind of do something different with each time you expect one thing to happen specifically. They do it a little bit different, not always that differently, but they always change it a little bit, so it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, and then speaking of which is like the next beat that we all loved from from Curse of Frankenstein is when he has to get the brain. He has to go. We got to find somebody to get a brain, and of course he gets a brain from somebody he knows who's a brilliant, brilliant man. Except in this case, he gets it from Elizabeth's dad,
Yeah.
the poor Gustav's owner.
Yeah.
And in the in the first movie, first of all, like it builds up to this in a cool way where like Victor gets into like the mad scientist zone where he gets so obsessed with his work. He's so in the zone. He's so close to getting it right. And he's like, he doesn't even have time or energy to fornicate with the housemaid anymore. He's really in the zone. There's the cook is standing there. He doesn't eat. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't fornicate. What's up with this guy? And all of a sudden he's just like, oh, and I love how like he's working on the monster and he's sweating and he's just like wipes his head with blood from the monster all over it, just blood on the cheek, blood on the forehead. It's great. But he goes to kill. Well, actually, the funny thing is, like, unlike Victor in the Peter Cushing version, where he like throws him off a stairway and has him crack on his head, which was dumb.
Yeah,
but it worked because it's Peter Cushing, and then it worked later when he's excising the brain from the skull. Like, oh, he's not going to need it anymore. They did that beautiful beat. This one, it's almost blink or you'll miss it because like her father like says, "Oh, I got years ahead of me," da da da, and then I think Victor poisons him, but we don't see him do it. We just assume that he does because like there's no like insert shot where you see him put something in his drink.
No,
they don't have that, so you just have to like assume that he did it. Like he's so evil at this point, you just assume he killed him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he poisons the cognate. His drink, he does poison him and kills him, but it's a little subtle, kind of. But you know that he killed his own dad in a similar way. It's funny too because her dad is a really nice guy, but he doesn't seem like he's a brilliant guy. Like the guy in Curse of Frankenstein was clear. They actually sought him out and he was very brilliant scientist, old guy that
Yeah.
they killed on purpose. This guy's, I mean, it's funny that, I mean, they might as well take taking anybody's brain than, take her dad's brain, you know.
He's kind of a goofball. Like,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
this guy?
yeah. I mean, I like him, all right, but it's not like he's. I don't. I mean, he's usually wanting to get like a scientific brain, a very smart brain.
Yeah, and then like finally when he's working on this human chart, it's like he says brain right there. And I don't know why, but like he needs the grave robber guy, David Price, to bring him the father's brain. Um, by the way, we forgot to mention that I love the editing in this movie because they'll have several editing gags like this where like
Yeah,
Elise is like, I've been noticing the stuff that you're doing, and I might use it against you, and to get like more expensive tastes and things like that. After Elizabeth basically proposes to Victor, and then she just goes away, and he's clearly not at all interested in her, and she's like, but yet Elise is threatened by Elizabeth, even though clearly he has zero interest in her. She is threatened still. And he's like, oh no, I don't have any interest in her. Besides, she has a father to look after. Smash cut, church bells, father's dead.
yeah. They do that a few times. It's a pretty good way of editing some of the stuff. There's like a scene earlier in the film where the dean is talking to him, and he tells him what he wants him to do. And then it looks like he's talking to the dean still, and he calls him names and stuff. And then he turns around, he's actually in his apartment talking to Wilhelm instead of his dad. So it's kind of cool the way they do that several times in the movie.
Yes, it's very clever, and I like that. So so yeah, we're pretty sure that he poisoned her Elizabeth's dad. We're pretty
Yep.
sure about that.
Yep.
But an unintended consequence of that is poor Elizabeth has to deal with her father's predators, I mean creditors, uh, who wants all his money from all his debts. So they repossess all of his stuff, including the house. So now poor Elizabeth has to go to live with Victor Frankenstein and Elise. And so she does.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets her there. I mean, that's another reason why it was not a good move to kill her dad, you know. It's like there's just no it's really he's like I'm just going to kill whoever I know just because this is the only person I hang out with ever. I'm going to kill him, you know.
I guess he doesn't like killing random people. He's got to have a relationship with you before he kills you first.
He's
Yeah,
not a mass murderer or a serial killer, you know.
yeah. I mean, it's easy. It's like because if he had to go find somebody, figure it out. Here he knows where this guy lives. He's been to his house. He could just go in there and he's invited there, so it makes it a little easier. But it also makes it harder because they, he has to deal with the repercussions of it because he knows her, and then she moves in. And but then eventually it does help him with Elise because she ends up pretty much doing what Elise does.
Sometimes I think that Victor gets more and more casual with his murders because, I mean, granted, he doesn't actually succeed in creating life until way late in this movie. And in fact, I clocked it. The monster does not come to life until 30 minutes are left in this movie.
Really?
30
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. It was like that in the first one too, though. In Curse of Frankenstein.
Weirdly, I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like I got more out of Christopher Lee's monster than I did out of David Prowse's monster, even though Prowse is even slower than Christopher Lee is.
Yeah.
But anyway, although we'll compare the makeups too. That's a whole other issue.
I thought it was a similar amount of screen time though. It wasn't that far off. It kind of seemed like in the first one it just took a long time to get to the monster as well, you know.
I feel like it took much longer than this movie. I don't know why. But he kills the gravedigger for no apparent reason. Like, sure, the gravedigger brings the brain in a suitcase, which has a brain in a jar inside it, and he breaks it. And it seems like he's killing the gravedigger because he saw the monster on the slab.
Yeah, I know. What's
Witness.
yeah, what's so annoying about that whole sequence is it's so unnecessary. The grave robber comes in, he has the brain, and then instead of just taking it and bringing it upstairs, he actually invites the gravedigger to come upstairs, like he wants to show him something, but then the gravedigger sees the stuff, and then he just kills him in the acid bath. It's kind of annoying. It's annoying. It's like a really unnecessary kill, I think, and it really is. I mean, it's like he doesn't care about getting called. It seems like at a certain degree because the guy's got a wife and she's pregnant.
And he told him this too. But anyway, yeah, you just reminded me, like, what was my original point by mentioning that is that I feel like they're trying to say that he's getting more, he's getting better and better at killing. No, it's not even that. He's getting more and more callous to human life
Yeah.
because he's making one. I feel like he feels like if he can create life, then he's got the power, the authority, the reasoning to take it. It's like a god complex.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an annoying complex. He just kills the guy who's helping him for no fucking reason. So.
Yeah, I agree. and then later on, he kills his pregnant wife.
Yeah, well, he had to do that, but he didn't have to kill the gravedigger. The gravedigger is like helping him, and if he shouldn't have brought him up there to begin with. I don't know why he would have done that. The gravedigger wasn't going to go to the cops. The gravedigger's digging up bodies for him and shit.
Yeah, he'd have to implicate himself.
Yeah, but the monster, he completes it. It's about an hour and 4 minutes in when he completes the monster, and then it's storming outside. He raises it, umbrella, it's hooked up to the monster. And then he instead of putting a bolt like we normally see, he puts two pairs of scissors into the side of the head of the monster.
Yeah, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not like the first time you see the monster on the slab, he's covered in a sheet. And then the next time you see him, he's all uncovered. As David Prowse's face just opens up, and he's there, and he's looking at the Victor off to the side. I don't think we ever see that sheet come off.
I don't know.
It's just already off. It's kind of weird. Like, how did it get off?
Yeah.
We didn't remember to take it off. Also, another funny thing that occurred to me during that whole creation scene, because every Frankenstein movie must have one.
Yeah.
He's all, Ralph Bates is very kind of, floating around and pulling switches and everything. And I thought to myself, wow, how has nobody not made a Frankenstein musical out of this? Because I could just feel him like singing about this thing, throwing switches in, like, with this brain, Mr. I'll make a man out of you. With all the force of a mighty lightning, with all the strength of the technology.
Yeah, I wonder why nobody's ever done that.
It writes itself, doesn't it?
Oh my god!
But they could make a Frankenstein musical.
Dude,
they made a Phantom of the Opera musical, the Phantom of Paradise.
Disney should do this. It would totally work.
It wouldn't work with Disney. It'd have to be like they did with Phantom of Paradise. It's just a
hey, dude. Disney did Hunchback of Notre Dame. Why can't it do Frankenstein? Frankie the musical.
No, the closest they're gonna get is Frankenweenie. That's the closest they're gonna get.
Sad.
Or the dance sequence in The Bride.
Well, the problem with making a Frankenstein musical is it's going to be a musical, and people are going to sing in it.
Why you gotta be all cynical, Watkins? Why you gotta rain on my parade?
I don't think Watkins has done any of like the musical horror films we've touched upon yet.
I think musical horror films are funny. I mean, I can name a few I really love, like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think that movie's great. Sweeney Todd's awesome.
You should make him do Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah,
we haven't done that one yet for the show. We did do Repo the Genetic Opera, and we did.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you did Repo.
And we did Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh yeah. So. Got Anthony Head and from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh crap! Repo. I just realized. You're right. I just realized Rocky Horror Picture Show is Frankenstein the musical. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
Damn it! Shit.
Crap.
We're about to be friggin' rich, and now it's like Oh, son of a
But
bitch.
you could do it different. That was so different from Frankenstein. You just do one like now. Thomas, that is your assignment. Write me a Frankenstein musical that we can do live on stage, and we'll do it with no budget at one of the theaters I'm associated with. It'll be great.
If I could just figure out how to write music, yes, I will. I'll get right on that.
Well, you just wrote it, man. You wrote it. You sang the whole thing. You just
Oh crap! I just realized. Oh crap! I just realized. Young Frankenstein the musical is also a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's again. They're going to be singing in it, so it's going to be annoying.
All right, let's move on.
So yeah. So we're getting the monster. Monster's like he basically he flips the switch. The lightning strikes it, which causes the switch to malfunction. And then Frankenstein doesn't notice it, but it causes the monster to wake up. So again, the monster wakes up without him actually knowing that he did anything, kind of haphazardly. I think that same thing happened in Curse of the Frankenstein.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yet that sequence was horrifying because the monster takes so long to get up, and when he does get up, he just tears off his bandages and rah, Christopher Lee. This one, they kind of play it for laughs because David Prowse gets out of his Frankenstein slab by flexing his pecs, and the pecs destroy the strap, and he is free. And then the moment that Victor notices his monster is alive, instead of saying something like, "It's alive," it's like he's meeting a member of the croquet club. He's like, "Hello, I'm Victor Frankenstein." And then
Yeah.
Krause just shoves him to the floor and just bolts out.
He actually says in an odd way, he's like, "How do you do? I'm Victor Frankenstein. How do you do? You know, what kind of question is that?" He's like,
"How do you do? How do I do? You just freaking made me."
Yeah. Yeah, how do you do? Yeah.
He's thinking that the Frankenstein monster is going to automatically remember how to talk and do everything he could before because of the brain, which is odd because none of the other Frankensteins ever thought about that at all. They kind of said this is being born for the first time and they can't do much of anything. But this one, like you said, stretches his pecs, gets free, and then goes on a very short rampage because he leaves, do a short rampage, and then comes right back to the castle, which I thought was very odd.
It is odd. It's so forced. It's so rushed. Like, he becomes an axe murderer. Like, I guess they were trying to be funny by having the monster throw down a tree with his hand and then kill a lumberjack with an axe. So he cuts down a tree with his hand and cuts down a human with an axe.
Yeah.
I guess is clever-ish.
Then that's when Stefan comes up and he sees the monster killing the guy, and then Frankenstein rides up in a carriage and sees him standing. It's so. I mean, this is like the setup's so weird. He comes up and he tells Stefan to stay there. That's why he's able to frame him later. But then Victor finds Frankenstein eating like a bird. He's sitting there in the woods, or the monster's eating a bird in the woods, and he picks up Victor picks up a stick and hits the creature over the head with it, which knocks him out. That's how they get him back.
And drags him back by himself, which I don't believe for a second, because David Prowse is a big guy. That guy had to weigh at least 300 pounds. So I seriously doubt Robert, but let's talk about this monster for a second. I will say I do like that he's eating a pigeon just raw. That's awesome. I've never seen that before. Yes, that's cool. More of that, please.
We see like in other movies, we don't see him actually sitting there eating this stuff, but we see like dead animals that he's taking bites out of for in other films, especially.
Because the monster
Evil of Frankenstein.
Yeah, Evil of Frankenstein, he eats sheep.
Yeah,
like Grendel or something.
Yeah. But he has done this, but we never see him just sitting there munching down on the thing, like he's doing, which is hilarious, really.
It is. So let's talk about this monster for a little bit before we move on, because the look of the monster is always, when he does a proper monster, is always interesting, because Hammer had to do different things because they didn't have the rights to the Universal monster except for Evil of Frankenstein, where they kind of did a not as great version of
that. It was like the milk carton on the like paper mache face for some reason. They just the makeup just wasn't as nearly as good as the original Frankenstein.
No, no.
Yeah.
But here, I think the makeup's pretty good here. It's kind of, the original Frankenstein was black and white, so we didn't really know what the flesh looked like. We see him in Evil Frankenstein. He looks green, like we've always thought that he would have looked like. But here, he has like a normal flesh tone, but the shape of him looks like or the traditional Frankenstein monster, but he keeps like the same normal flesh, the skin tone.
Yeah. And his head's slightly misshapen.
Yeah.
That's the same. He doesn't really have bolts coming out of his neck, although he does have a huge like manacle around his neck that he never takes off, and is always making clinking sounds whenever he moves. But that's about it for this guy.
He's got scars and he's wearing like a
Yeah, he's
big
got
diaper.
scars.
Yeah, and he's wearing a diaper, which is I don't know. I as much as I bagged on some of the makeup bits on Christopher Lee's Frankenstein in Curse of Frankenstein, I don't know. I think I would have preferred that over this. The one advantage to this approach, though, is that David Prowse does get more of a chance to act because you
Yeah.
can see his eyes. His eyes are untouched. His mouth is untouched. His nose looks. He looks like a man, a very weirdly head misshapen man, but he could pass for a human if you put him in a nice, I don't know, blue shirt like he does in this
Yeah.
movie.
You know what? I just remember like David Prowse was in Vampire Circus too. That
Oh, he was.
yeah, he plays a strong man in that. He's because he's such a big dude. He's actually pretty good in that one too. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
but
I
here,
don't know. I feel a little underwhelmed by this monster as a whole. I don't know why.
well, I like what they did to his forehead. They made his forehead look like Frankenstein, and then and then his skin. It's a little underwhelming, but I didn't hate it though. I thought I didn't. I like it better than some of the other ones.
Now that I think about it, that whole skin thing is also similar to Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. Andy Warhol's Frankenstein also had
Yeah,
creatures that looked exactly like regular people, but just with stitches. Although I will say the stitch work in Andy Warhol's Frankenstein looks a lot better than this one.
yeah. What did you think about the design of the monster, Kevin?
So with this one, it's not going to be Christopher Lee, I'll tell you that. But the thing is, I think they were going more for a more, I don't want to say beautiful monster, but one that's not so repulsive to the audience. We've got the Ralph Bates is supposed to be like the almost Playboy Frankenstein. So he's got to make a monster that has to at least be close to that. And I didn't think about that till Thomas, you started mentioning the pecs and breaking up and stuff. So this guy is really strong, like a strong man, and he doesn't look like he's stitched up, like obviously stitched up from a bunch of different body parts, like we've seen in other Frankenstein movies. And I think that's conscious of the way that they made the movie and the impression they wanted to make on the new audience that they were hoping were watching this film and would get along and follow them for a new iteration of the franchise and keep it going.
I feel like they were. I'm sorry, what?
I think it's interesting that they would go this route, but like I said, I think that's the whole reason for any franchise to do a reboot is to tap into an audience that may have not seen all the films that came before it.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like if you're going to do that, do something different with it, and I don't think they do. He kind of just does the same sort of stuff that the monster in Evil of Frankenstein did, and even less than Christopher Lee's Frankenstein did. Granted, he uses more tools than the other one. He doesn't eat any but like it's pretty obvious to me that they were sexing up this monster. They got these huge nipples on this guy, and he got an oily bodybuilder to him. I almost expected him to go and kidnap Elizabeth and force himself on her, at least off screen, because I feel like this monster was supposed to be like a sexual animal monster that was like a rapist, but that never happens. I guess I'm thankful for that on the one hand, but on the other hand, I'm like, at least that would have made sense. But this one doesn't.
They weren't going to be able to get away with that, I don't think, in
at this
this.
time, but the sexualized Frankenstein's monster is kind of what Guillermo del Toro did with his film. So
Well, I mean, they got away with it on Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. They had poor Peter Cushing rape some girl in that movie. Why can't you have the monster do something like that where it actually makes sense for him to do that?
It would make the monster unlikable, though.
Yeah.
He's a freaking monster, dude.
I'm joking, man.
Dude, this monster tries to murder a young girl.
Yeah.
No,
I know. I don't. Yeah.
What's worse, that he tries to murder a young girl, or he fails to murder the young girl?
Well, what's worse, that or he tries to rape the young girl? You know,
I don't think he would try to rape the young girl. He'd probably try to rape both of the comely lasses who are in the castle, which he practically ignores until the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to decide what their intentions for the monster in the franchise was because of everything that we see in it. The only thing I gathered to do this to try and bring in a different audience, a younger audience. Peter Cushing is not like, I don't know how many people will look at Peter Cushing and say, oh, he's kind of a sex symbol. Let's get the younger audience in with Peter Cushing type of thing.
Yeah. I agree. But I mean, I'm like, my complaint in this particular instance is not Ralph Bates. No. I mean, Ralph Bates is just fine. I don't think he's nearly as charismatic as Peter Cushing was. No. And that's a big problem with this movie. The problem I have is that in spite of the new direction for this monster, they end up basically just doing the same problem that Christopher Lee's monster had, which is he goes from zero to killing machine with no reason. And there's unlike the Universal Frankenstein monster, who is basically shunned by society into becoming a killing machine. His horrible appearance makes people afraid of him, and that causes him to lash out. This movie, he has basically created a zombie killing machine without even intending to. And he just kills random people who have nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it has a meh feel to me.
Well, the way that the way he kills the first dude with like an axe, it's like
well, we started the conversation with this. It's the 1970s, and they're trying to be a little bit more violent due to the huge success of films like Night of the Living Dead in '68. They're trying to make it trying to step away from the gothic a little bit more to make it seem more realistic and appeal to a different type of audience. And we all know they don't know how to do that with these movies.
No, they don't. And I feel like that's another problem too. Is like you have the monster becomes an axe murderer. It's not even a minute old. Where do you go from there?
Yeah,
you got an axe murdering monster. Where do you go from there? He eats a bird. That's pretty cool. Where do you go from there? There's really nowhere to go after that.
They actually go. I think with the right direction. They pull it back because that's when he brings him to the jail and he starts to kind of like get him. Pacify him a little bit and get him used to even being alive, and he starts bringing him food and getting him used to having, because he had to go out and get his own food. Maybe that's what he was doing. He was hungry, he ate the bird. Maybe he was going to eat the person too. I don't know.
But Dave, you bring up a good word to use for the new monster once he comes back and Frankenstein tries to domesticate him, which is pacify. Like Frankenstein literally wants to pacify him and use him to do his bidding, which is what he ends up doing with the monster. Like this Frankenstein is never afraid of his own creation. He instead wants to use his creation, like a slave, to do his bidding. I mean, that's essentially why we have the murders with our favorite characters, the grave digger and the grave digger's wife,
Right, yeah, because after that, around at that same point, the grave digger's wife shows up, and she's like, "Where's my husband? I'm gonna have to go to." She actually does the police bullshit again. Like she's like, I'm gonna have to go tell the police about all this. I'll see you later.
Yeah. So that's
I'm gonna be in the woods by myself. But yeah,
character number 2 who does this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankenstein tells her, take that trail, blah, 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 blah. You need to take that trail.
Make sure you take that shortcut trail.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
take any other trail. Make sure you take that. And of course, he sends the monster down that trail to murder her.
What's odd is then the Frankenstein monster goes and kills her, but then he comes back. Well, he kills her, it chokes her and throws her body, but then he comes back and allows Frankenstein to lock him back up again. So it's kind of odd that he's being, so obedient.
He's choosing servitude now for reasons.
Let's say they do like tests on dogs for they've done it, and it was it learned helplessness. So if they basically make them over time feel helpless, it's how they train a dog, because they know that they can't go past a certain threshold. And I think it was something like a shock collar or something like that, where they would give them something that they wanted and then move it back to where they would get shocked to take it, and then they would take away everything that would shock them, and they'd leave the thing there and they still wouldn't take it. But there hasn't been enough time to really learn helplessness for the monster, but he is obeying Frankenstein already. So I mean,
it's abrupt. The way it's depicted in the movie is pretty abrupt, and you just have to go with it for the rest of the movie once it happens.
If only they'd started his creation a little earlier in the movie, they probably would have had time.
To like make it make more sense. Even, I mean, I get the idea. The idea works that's what he's trying to train the monster, but it's not gonna be an easy thing to train, and it would definitely take a lot more effort than what he puts into it here.
Yeah, can you imagine if they made a Frankenstein movie where they created the monster like the first 15 minutes? And the rest of the movie is just their relationship. Can you imagine if they'd done that? That'd be neat.
Yeah, it's usually, a lot of times the monster doesn't come in until the very end like this, we get 30. Yeah, we get 30 minutes with him. And some of them, Bride of Frankenstein, it's like you don't see the bride until like the last 10 minutes. But you do have Frankenstein in the whole film, the monster in the whole film, though.
Yeah, but Bride of Frankenstein, he's already created. He's just like hanging around.
Yeah,
from the first movie.
Well, unless you're watching the recent movie, The Bride, where Frankenstein's monster is already fully his own character at the very beginning, and the bride gets created at the very beginning of the movie. So
kinda, yeah. I guess
very rare.
They did do it.
It's very rare, huh?
I guess they kind of did it then. That's the case. Well, in Frankenstein Unbound, the creature has already been created off screen when the time traveler arrives, so that's kind of an exception as well.
Well, I think what you're saying initially, though, is the idea would be for the Dr. Frankenstein to have the monster already created, and that character develop because a lot of times in the stories, the creature doesn't like Frankenstein and he leaves, and he ends up connecting with a different character other than his creator. But it would be like this situation where the doctor traps the monster and then actually trains him, and then the monster's in the whole film too. It would be kind of interesting to see it done that way.
Yeah, it would be.
I also was a little disappointed in this movie because like the monster seems to have this kind of weird need, like whenever he gets bored, he has to go up and kill. And like I said, one time he tries to kill some random little girl in some random cottage. He's unsuccessful at that. And the girl's father comes in and he's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "That nasty monster that tried to hurt me." And that's how, of course, the peasants know that we're dealing with a monster now. And I'm thinking, well, there's got to be some kind of angry mob in this Frankenstein movie, right? Nope.
Yeah, but there's not enough time for all that.
Not this one.
There's not there's a lot of things like that you think is going to happen, and then they don't. He does. I mean, which is kind of good, I guess, because I thought it was about to get like that sort of like the same mob's going to come back and with torches and all that, but
no. But we do get a nice little iconic moment when the monster comes back to the castle. He scares Elizabeth, who passes out because that's what you do, and and he holds her in his arms, in his big brawny arms, in that classic monster pose, that Beauty and the Beast, where he's carrying the woman. And the only problem is we don't get a really good iconic shot of it. It's just kind of over the shoulder, but it happens.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Frankenstein comes in and he's like, "Give it to me." And he's like, "No, monster want woman." He doesn't say that, but it's in his face. So that made me think, oh, he wants to, with
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
yeah. He's probably like
But
thinking this might be a little interesting. What's going on here?
yeah. But no, we don't go there, unfortunately. And he's like, he says it again, and finally the monster gives him back Elizabeth. And then he realizes the cops are closing in on him because Elizabeth has told them there's a monster in there. I saw him, and they're coming. They're going to break down the door, and in comes Henry. Finally, Henry. This movie has just remembered Henry exists, and and Lieutenant Henry and his
Yeah,
minions. I love how Victor calls them his minions. It's
yeah.
like, oh, hello, Henry and minions.
Yes.
We did miss something like that. We do see Henry at the crime scene and finding like a footprint earlier on, but when he postpones the execution of Stefan, but the monster also kills Elise, which we didn't talk about.
Oh yes, that's another beat that they did borrow from
Yeah,
Curse of Frankenstein. Because in Curse of
right.
Frankenstein, he pretty much just locks the at least an analog, the chambermaid he's shipping in
Was
that
it,
movie.
it was it Isabella in that one or something?
Yes,
Or,
yeah, I think you're right.
yeah,
But yeah, but in that one he's like hanging on the door, listening to the monster tear her apart. Whereas in this movie, he pretty much shoves her in, closes the door, and he's like, "Well, one less thing I have to worry about." You know?
yeah, and he's lucky the monster just decides to kill her because then again he could just like keep her, not kill her. I mean, but he
He
kills
could
her.
he could have his way with her and then kill her, but
Yeah.
that doesn't happen either.
Or he could like do that and then just keep her prisoner, save some for later or whatever, But
Oh
it's,
God.
he just kills her though.
I
We
know, right?
assume. Yeah, it's like,
But like he's realizes that the cops are coming, but he's got a plan. And he's got a huge hypodermic needle. And Ralph Bates Victor is like, "Come here. We just got this little needle here. It's gonna put you to sleep." And the monster's like, "Oh." And then cut. We never see him put the needle in the Frankenstein monster.
No.
But we just see him, say hi to Henry and his minions.
Yep.
And they come in and they're like, "Where's this monster? Where's the monster?" He's like, "What monster?" And but I will say it's a clever gag, but I don't think they do it well. I feel like the movie and Jimmy Sangster thinks that this ending is much funnier than it actually is.
I think you are right about that, actually. I
Yeah.
got that impression of when they hold on Frankenstein, his very last shot, and his look on his face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because frick it, we're just gonna spoil it here because I don't care. We got we got the little girl who says the monster hurt her.
Yes, the little girl who's the annoying little girl. Go ahead.
Comes in and she's just wandering around the lab, messing with the stuff. He's like, "Don't touch that, don't touch that." Twice. Third time's the charm. She goes over to the latch for the acid omatic machine. And he's like, "Don't." And then he pulls it and the acid goes in and sizzles. And they're like, "Well, I guess there's nothing here. We better leave." And Elizabeth was like, "I was attacked by something," and leaves. And then the girl, for no good reason, says, "He was a nice monster." Like, why? No, you called him nasty a few minutes ago. There is no reason for you to even say that.
No.
And then, of course, Victor is all forlorn. He's left alone with just his acid machinery. And he goes up, looks into the pool, and then out plops one boot, two boots. And we realize now as an audience, yes, the monster was in there. He put it to sleep and somehow lugged that 300-pound man up and over and into it. And now he's just like looking at it. And then he looks back at the camera like, wah, 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 wah.
I know that look. Yeah, that look. But the thing is, that whole sequence is meant to be funny because of the little girl as well. And it's not just that either. When the monster goes and tries to do whatever he's trying to do with the little girl, he doesn't really fulfill that pleasure or killing. And and that right there, him not doing that is just kind of crazy to begin with, because that leads to the monster's eventual downfall. Because now the monster and the girl, I mean the girl and the girl's father are like telling Henry all the details. There's a monster, blah 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 blah, confirming Henry's suspicions already based on what happened to Stefan and everything else that's been happening. So yeah, just watching him, just watching Henry kind of bumble his way through this entire thing is also hilarious. You know,
Except
Yeah.
he's not an idiot, though.
no,
If he
he's
were
not
a
an
bumbling, if he were stupid, that would be a whole other thing. That would be a
idiot.
different. That would be like a Peter Sellers version of Young Frankenstein, which would have been amazing. But that's not what this movie is.
No, it's like inadvertently bumbling through all the facts without actually seeing all the facts. That's how I see it. Because
Yeah.
You talk about the detective guy, right? But
Henry,
he's hardly on screen, so we don't get you only get to see it briefly too.
yeah,
But I I thought I thought the ending it was interesting because they didn't kill Frankenstein in
right.
this one, and it was unexpected the way. It's a little like, is that really the end? There's a little bit of that, but it was also kind of like, that's kind of cool that they didn't kill him and they destroyed the monster and kind of back at square one. But he doesn't get his comeuppance like this Frankenstein more than any of the other Frankensteins needed that shit, you know?
Yeah, he learns
Yeah.
nothing. He learns absolutely nothing. He's just like, well, I guess it's back to the drawing board.
Yes, pretty
I,
much.
it's like
Yeah.
my problem with it, my biggest problem with it is that this is, I'm sure I've seen other movies like this, but this is the first time movie I could think of where there's no. This is literally a movie without a climax.
Yeah.
It's not an anticlimactic. It is climax less. There is nothing. There is no crescendo. There's a little bit of build up and then nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's just empty air escaping into the void. And it's a joke that's not that funny. And honestly, I feel like the only thing that might have saved that joke, that last little exchange, probably would have been a nice little quip from fellow bodybuilder Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we had Mr. Schwarzenegger in the role of Dr. Frankenstein looking at this acid bath of his destroyed creation and then picture him looking to the camera, full screen, saying these 4 lines, and I'll go in reverse order for our Schwarzenegger alternator for the ending, and we can try to salvage. Let's see if we can do it. Mr. Schwarzenegger, are you ready? Yes, I am, Doctor. I am Dr. Thomas. I'm not a doctor. You don't have to call me that. That's okay. I'm going to call it you anyway because you look like a doctor.
All right.
Here we go. Number 4. Well, back to the drawing board. Next time I make a man, I make him acid proof and bulletproof and fireproof. Definitely fireproof. Number 3. Well, that was a disaster. Maybe I should get into the occult and start fresh. Maybe change my name to Courtly. That'd work.
Okay.
You sounded more like Frankenstein than Schwarzenegger that time. It's like a combination of the two, you know.
Bunch of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 2. Shoot. I knew I should have put the child safety lock on that acid switch.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally, number 1.
Go on.
Well, there's always the sequel, right?
Yeah. Till there's not one.
No sequel for you.
Well, that is a little sad that there's no sequel. Just in general, because it would have been interesting to see where they would have taken this had it been successful. To be honest with you,
I was glad that they got Peter Cushing back one more time. But yeah, I mean, if it would have been nice to have seen a continuation of this, or it could even like with Peter Cushing, if they were able to do more films, because they really only made one more Frankenstein film
Yeah,
after this one.
yeah.
Yeah. It was like I said. I think this movie not succeeding was like the death knell for the Hammer Frankenstein. Like the fact that there was one more is kind of a miracle. It was like a last ditch effort, probably, or
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe the studio, or maybe Anthony Hines felt like he owed it to Peter to give him one more, because the last one before this, which one was that was Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I feel like he felt like that one maybe just didn't quite live up to expectations. So I feel like he's got to do one more, and we got to give it a great title, like Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
Hey, don't knock it. That's a great title.
It is a fantastic title. I would argue, aside from Frankenstein Created Woman, yeah, that was a good title.
Yeah,
That's probably the best title of all the Frankensteins, because Curse of Frankenstein makes zero sense. There is no curse in that movie. There's no Curse of Frankenstein. If anything, the first movie should have been called Horror of Frankenstein, not this movie. This movie is not even a horror movie. I would say it's a dark comedy, just like Dave says. I agree with him. This movie is a dark comedy. This movie doesn't have anything horror-ish. It's barely got any gore. It's got one axe murder. I mean, yeah, no.
this is the dark comedy of Frankenstein. There you go.
The awkward dark comedy of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a horror movie, but it has a heavy dose of dark comedy. That
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So, any other thoughts on this one, guys?
No,
No?
not a one.
I'm not surprised. How about you, Dave?
nah. I think we talked about it pretty good.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me on this conversation in which we discussed the horror of Frankenstein. For all of you out there listening to the program, what we do is we love to rate the films between 1 and 5, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we like to do is we like to attribute a object, quote, or saying to our rating. What is your rating and the object, quote, or saying you're going to attribute to that rating? And we're going to start with you, Dave.
So I'll go ahead and use the acid bath,
Okay.
hydrochloric acid rig thing he has in there. I'll give it three of those. I I think I enjoyed it when I was watching it. I liked it that I didn't know exactly what was going to happen next. It was a little, I mean, like the endings, it was kind of like that's the end sort of thing. But I don't know. I thought it was all right though. I like Ralph Bates the way he does it. I watched it. I've watched it twice recently. Both times I was kind of, thought it was pretty good. Three is kind of low for this type of film, so landed at that.
All right. What about you, Thomas?
Well, now that I've analyzed it thoroughly with you guys, I'm just gonna come out and say it here that I think this is easily my least favorite of all the Frankensteins we've looked at so far. Easily. In spite of saying that, though, I'm almost reconsidering my rating because I was going to be a little lenient with this thing. I'm not sure I want to be now. You know what? Screw it. I don't owe this movie jack anything. I'm gonna be cruel to it. I'm gonna give this movie 1.5 reanimated turtles, 1.5 Gustavs.
That is low. I think that's probably your lowest rating yet, isn't it?
I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah. The
And I
lowest,
did not.
yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with the fact that I saw this thing, but I'm never gonna watch this again. Never. Yeah.
Well,
I have no interest in watching it again.
Well, to be honest with you, after I saw it the very first time I saw it a couple years ago, I sold my copy of it thinking I was never going to watch it again.
Yeah. It does look good in 4K though.
Yeah.
I looked at it at the Blu-ray and the 4K. The 4K is quite a big difference in the colors and stuff. It looks really cool.
So what about you, Kevin? Since I stole your turtle, apparently you got to look all mad.
You have a knack of stealing all my good objects. I'm going to slap you one day. But I'm not gonna be that bad with the film. I don't think it's that bad. I'm gonna give it 2.5 midnight trysts with Elise.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's not midnight. It's like 3 a.m. or something. Probably 5 or something.
Yeah, and obviously the first two she finished. The second one, the half one, Victor just left her there.
Yeah.
Which, actually, now I think about that, does happen in the movie.
Yeah.
This has always been this was one of the last ones I ever watched, and I still think it's the weakest one out of all of them. I never liked the third act of this. And you guys just confirmed the third act for me. I do think the film looks good. I think it looks great. The third act just never sits well with me. And so it just kind of, this is my least favorite of this franchise. And I hate to say this, it's also because it doesn't have Peter Cushing in it, and we all know how much I love Peter Cushing.
That's right. If Peter Cushing had the amount of screen time that Ralph Bates does in this movie, he might have saved it. I don't know. That ending's pretty bad, but I don't know. He might have.
Well, I mean, it would have been weird if they had Peter Cushing in it and they just rebooted Curse of Frankenstein like this way, with Peter Cushing. It would have
been weird.
Yeah. They kind of rebooted it continuously with them, but not like this way. They didn't go back to the very beginning. They always started like, even with Evil of Frankenstein, the monster had already been created at that point.
Yeah.
So I do want to add that as we've been going through these films in this franchise, we've kind of touched upon the different changes and the evolution and the different versions that Peter Cushing played as Frankenstein, because it was never really consistent at all. Having Ralph Bates play Frankenstein just kind of adds to that a little bit more. And then when we discuss the last film of the franchise, it'll be interesting to see what we all think about not only that film in particular, but how the franchise ended up coming about as the last film made its last hurrah before being completely forgotten.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? If this movie had been successful in some weird alternate reality, they probably could have done a Hammer Monster Mash. Because, our biggest problem speculating about how that could have happened, if Hammer had done a Monster Mash movie the way that Universal did, they couldn't do it because you have Peter Cushing, who is famous for being both Frankenstein and Van Helsing. So, but if Ralph Bates's version of the character had been well received, we might have had a Dracula meet Frankenstein Hammer mashup with Ralph Bates's Frankenstein meeting Sir Christopher Lee's Dracula.
Yeah,
that might have been a good movie.
It's weird the way they seem like they just weren't interested in doing that, the mashup. It seemed like they just saw that as they probably thought it wouldn't do well for that audience at the time. It would have been really awesome had they done it, though.
I mean, all they had to do was throw in Oliver Reed as a resurrected Wolfman, and it would have been classic.
Yeah, brought that character back too. All right, so I want to thank you all for listening to our conversation in Hammer Studio Horrors. We have done all of the previous films in this franchise already, so please make sure to check out those episodes. We've also done and touched upon a lot of the Dracula films and the Mummy franchise, so we are going through them, and we hope that you will join us by going to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube to check out the show. We also have an amazing companion show, Conversations in Horror, which is our mainstay show. You should check it out. All the other great horror films out there, including the Universal monster films, we've also tried to discuss over there, so you can go ahead and check those out as well. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we wish you a pleasant journey through Frankenstein's castle. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.